All right, let's dive into a topic that's absolutely critical, not just for your exams, but for your entire career. We're talking about business communication. So what is it that makes this the real engine behind any successful company? Let's find out together.
So, let's kick things off with a big question. Why do people always say communication is the lifeline of a business? Well, think of it like the circulatory system in a body. ഒരു കമ്പനിയുടെ എല്ലാ ഭാഗങ്ങളിലേക്കും വിവരങ്ങൾ എത്തിക്കുന്ന രക്തക്കുഴലുകൾ പോലെയാണിത്. It's that constant flow of information connecting every single part, every department, every employee, every manager, making sure the whole thing works together as one healthy unit.
To really understand its power, we've got to go right back to the basics. What are we actually talking about when we use the term business communication? Let's get a really clear definition on this.
You know, the origin of the word communication tells you everything you need to know. It comes straight from the Latin word communicare, and that just means to share. അതാണ് ഇതിന്റെ പ്രധാന ആശയം. So business communication is simply the process of sharing information between all the stakeholders. അതായത് ഒരു ബിസിനസ്സുമായി ബന്ധമുള്ള എല്ലാവരും തമ്മിൽ വിവരങ്ങൾ പങ്കുവയ്ക്കുന്ന പ്രക്രിയയാണിത്. It's as simple and as powerful as that.
And you know, this quote from Louis Allen just nails it. He calls communication a bridge of meaning. This is so important. വെറുതെ വാക്കുകൾ പറയുന്നതിന് അപ്പുറം നമ്മുടെ മനസ്സിലുള്ള ഒരു ആശയം യാതൊരു മാറ്റവുമില്ലാതെ മറ്റൊരാളുടെ മനസ്സിലേക്ക് എത്തിക്കാൻ നമ്മൾ ചെയ്യുന്ന എല്ലാ കാര്യങ്ങളും കമ്മ്യൂണിക്കേഷനാണ്. You're not just talking, you're building an അർത്ഥത്തിന്റെ ഒരു പാലം, a bridge of meaning to connect with someone else's understanding.
So, how does this bridge of meaning actually get built? Well, it's not magic, right? It's a very clear step-by-step process. And if you can understand this process, you're already on your way to becoming a much better communicator. Okay, take a look at this diagram. It shows you the 4 essential pieces that make up a full communication loop. You start with the sender, the person with the idea. They send out the business information, which is the message. Then it goes to the receiver. But here's the most important part, feedback. Either one-way process alla, marichuru cycle ana. It has to be a two-way street.
All right, let's walk through this. First up, the sender encodes their idea. അതായത് തന്റെ ചിന്തയെ വാക്കുകളാക്കി മാറ്റുന്നു, like a manager typing out an email. That's step 1. Step 2, the message gets sent. Easy enough. Step 3, the receiver gets that email and has to decode it. I വാക്കുകളുടെ അർത്ഥം മനസ്സിലാക്കാൻ ശ്രമിക്കുന്നു. And finally, step 4, the one that makes it all work, feedback. When the receiver replies to that email, they confirm that the message was received and understood, and that's what closes the loop.
Now, obviously, communication isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. Inside any organization, information flows through all sorts of different channels and in different ways. Let's look at the main types you're definitely going to need to know.
So the first big split is between formal communication and informal communication. Formal is the official stuff. ഇത് കമ്പനിയോട് നിയമങ്ങളോ അനുസരിച്ചുള്ള ഔദ്യോഗിക ആശയവിനിമയമാണ്. Think about official meetings, written reports, company memos. Then you've got informal communication. ഇത് തികച്ചും അനൗദ്യോഗികമാണ്. This is the talk that happens based on friendships and personal relationships, not job titles.
And here's a key term for that informal network that you have got to remember, the grapevine. Just imagine how a grapevine spreads out in every direction. That's exactly how unofficial information travels. നമ്മുടെ ഓഫീസിലെ കാര്യങ്ങൾ ഒരു ചായക്കടയിൽ ഇരുന്ന് സംസാരിക്കുന്നത് പോലെ. It's the real, unofficial pulse of a company.
Okay, besides formal and informal, we also need to think about direction. Downward communication is when info flows from the top to the bottom, മുകളിൽ നിന്ന് താഴേക്ക്, like a manager giving instructions to an employee. And the exact opposite of that is upward communication, which is when information flows from the bottom to the top, താഴെ നിന്ന് മുകളിലേക്ക്. Think about an employee sending a report or suggesting a new idea to their boss. For a company to be truly healthy, you need a strong flow in both directions.
All right, so we know what communication is and how the process works. But how do we make sure our communication is actually effective? Well, for that, we've got this amazing framework called the 7 C's. And trust me, this is a classic exam topic, so let's break it down right now.
Here they are. For your communication to be effective, it has to be clear, so there's no confusion. It must be correct, meaning it's factually accurate. ശരിയായ വിവരങ്ങളായിരിക്കണം. It needs to be complete, giving the other person everything they need to know. വിവരങ്ങൾ പൂർണ്ണമായിരിക്കണം. Be concrete, with specific details, not vague ideas. Be concise, which means keep it short and to the point. ചുരുക്കി പറയുക. Show consideration by thinking about the other person's point of view. കേൾക്കുന്നയാളെ പരിഗണിക്കണം. And last but not least, be courteous. Just be polite and respectful. It goes a long way. But here's the thing. Even if you try to follow all of the 7 C's perfectly, your message can still get completely lost. And why does that happen? Because of communication barriers. These are the obstacles that block or twist your message along the way. Let's look at the most common ones.
Now, a huge one you'll run into is what we call a semantic barrier. This is all about the meaning of words. It happens when you and I use the same word, but we mean 2 totally different things. For example, if I say a product is cheap, am I saying it's affordable or that it's low quality? See? That one word can create a massive misunderstanding.
And it doesn't stop there. You've also got personal barriers, which are our own biases and attitudes getting in the way. There are status barriers, which might make an employee too scared to give honest feedback to their boss. You can have organizational barriers, where a message gets messed up passing through too many people. And maybe the biggest one of all, inadequate attention, when the other person just isn't really listening.